Imagine this. You're standing perfectly still. The air feels normal. The ground beneath your feet is solid. Birds are mid flight. Cars are moving. Oceans are calm. I couldn't think the best. And then, without warning, the entire Earth stops rotating, not slowly.
Gradually.
Instantly.
For exactly 1 minute, our planet freezes its spin. In that single moment, you are still moving at over 600 kilometers per hour because that's how fast Earth normally rotates at the equator. The ground stops, but you don't. Buildings shear apart as the surface violently slides beneath everything not anchored deep into bedrock. Cars, trees, oceans, and entire cities are flung eastward by pure momentum. The atmosphere keeps racing, creating global winds faster than hurricanes' winds strong enough to rip the skin off skyscrapers. Oceans surge out of their basins, slanting into continents as planet-sized tsunamis. The sky turns into a roaring wall of debris, water, and fire as friction ignites the air itself. Satellites lose orientation, GPS systems fail, Earth's magnetic field begins to destabilize. All of this happens in 60 seconds.
This isn't a movie explosion.
This is physics doing exactly what it's supposed to do, without mercy. No warning sirens. No time to run. No place that's truly safe. Just 1 minute where the rules of everyday life are replaced by raw inertia, momentum, and planetary scale forces we never feel until now. And when the minute ends, the planet starts spinning again. But Earth will never be the same. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your question below. So what exactly is this nightmare scenario? In this what-if experiment, Earth doesn't explode. It doesn't leave its orbit. Nothing supernatural happens. Instead, we imagine something far more unsettling. The planet's rotation suddenly stops for one single minute, then resumes exactly as before. Earth normally rotates once every 24 hours, and that rotation is so smooth and constant that we never feel it. But motion at this scale carries enormous energy. At the equator alone, the surface is moving faster than a commercial jet. Even near the poles, everything is still traveling hundreds of kilometers per hour. The reason this scenario is scientifically fascinating is simple. Inertia, objects in motion want to stay in motion. When the planet stops, everything not physically locked to Earth keeps going. That includes the air, the oceans, and your body. This thought experiment allows us to explore how deeply Earth's rotation affects weather, gravity, oceans, and even the shape of the planet itself. It also reveals how fragile our modern world really is when faced with raw planetary physics. In this video, we'll explore what happens in those first catastrophic seconds, how the atmosphere and oceans react, and whether anything or anyone could possibly survive. We'll follow the chain reaction from immediate destruction to long-term planetary damage. Because when you stop a spinning world, even briefly, you don't just pause time. You unleash it. The moment Earth's rotation stops, the first and most violent consequence is inertia, the invisible force that turns everyday motion into a global weapon. Right now, every object on Earth is moving eastward along with the planet. At the equator, that speed is about 1,670 kilometers per hour. When the ground suddenly halts, everything above it keeps going. The land freezes in place, but the air, oceans, and all loose objects continue racing forward. This creates instant planet-wide destruction. Buildings are not designed to resist sideways forces at supersonic speeds. Skyscrapers shear from their foundations. Bridges twist apart. Anything not deeply anchored is swept away like dust. Vehicles become projectiles. Forests are flattened in seconds, snapped off at the base as if cut by an invisible blade. The atmosphere reacts even faster. The air keeps moving at its original speed, creating winds far stronger than the most extreme hurricanes. These winds don't just knock things down, they strip landscapes bare. Soil is torn from the ground, asphalt peels from roads. In some regions, friction between air and surface generates intense heat, igniting fires across entire continents. Meanwhile, the oceans continue their motion. Water doesn't stop instantly, it surges forward, piling up into massive walls hundreds of meters high. These aren't normal tsunamis caused by earthquakes, these are momentum-driven ocean waves that sweep across coastlines, traveling deep inland and erasing everything in their path. Even the sky becomes deadly. Dust, debris, seawater, and shattered structures are hurled into the atmosphere, turning the air into a swirling, choking storm. Visibility drops to zero. Breathing becomes nearly impossible. This isn't chaos. It's perfectly predictable physics. We've seen smaller versions of this effect. When cars stop suddenly, passengers lurch forward. When planes decelerate, loose objects fly. Earth is doing the same thing, just on a planetary scale. And all of this unfolds in the first few seconds of that 1 minute stop. But the destruction doesn't end there, because stopping Earth doesn't just affect what's on the surface, it changes how the entire planet behaves. As the chaos continues, the second major consequence begins to unfold. Earth itself starts to change shape and behavior. Earth's rotation doesn't just give us day and night, it also creates a subtle upward force that makes the planet slightly bulge at the equator. When the rotation suddenly stops, that force disappears. Gravity immediately begins pulling the planet into a more perfect sphere. But rock doesn't move smoothly. The planet's crust and mantle experience massive internal stress as the equatorial bulge collapses. This triggers global seismic activity. Fault lines snap. Earthquakes ripple across continents, many far stronger than anything recorded in human history. Volcanoes erupt as pressure systems underground are violently disrupted, releasing magma through newly opened fractures. At the same time, the oceans respond again, this time to gravity, with no rotational bulge holding water outward. Vast amounts of seawater begin flowing toward the poles. Entire ocean basins slowly drain north and south, exposing seafloors near the equator while drowning polar regions under kilometers of water. Meanwhile, Earth's atmosphere starts to reorganize. The rotation that normally helps drive weather patterns, trade winds, jet streams, and storm systems is gone. Air masses begin to collapse toward the equator and poles unpredictably, creating colossal pressure systems. Storms merge into continent sized supercells, unleashing constant lightning, torrential rain, and violent turbulence. Another invisible system begins to suffer: Earth's magnetic field. While the planet's rotation isn't the sole driver of magnetism, the sudden disruption affects the flow of molten iron in Earth's outer core. The magnetic field weakens and fluctuates, allowing increased solar radiation to reach the surface. Satellites lose stable orbits. Power grids overload. Communications across the globe fail as electromagnetic disturbances ripple through the ionosphere. Remember, this is still happening during that same single minute. The planet is not exploding. It is rearranging itself violently. By the time the 60 seconds are nearly over, Earth is cracked, flooded, burning, and electrically unstable. But the most dangerous moment hasn't arrived yet. Because in a few seconds, the Richter scale, which has technically been replaced by the moment magnitude scale, measures the strength of an earthquake. Since we usually hear about earthquakes with ratings somewhere between 3 and 9, a lot of people probably think of 10 as the top of the scale and 0 as the bottom. In fact, there is no top or bottom to the scale. But even if 10 isn't the top of the scale, it might as well be. A magnitude 9 earthquake already measurably alters the rotation of the Earth. The two magnitude 9 plus earthquakes this century both altered the length of the day by a tiny impact to help from the rotation of the partlet. The planet starts spinning again. When the minute ends, Earth's rotation suddenly resumes. And this is where the damage becomes irreversible. Everything that was thrown eastward during the stop now experiences a second violent shift, this time in the opposite direction. The ground beneath begins moving again, but the air, oceans, and debris are no longer synchronized with the planet's motion. The result is another global shockwave of momentum. Surviving structures that somehow endured the first impact are torn apart now. Water that had surged inland is dragged back toward the oceans, creating retreating megafloods that carve continents like soft clay. Entire coastlines are reshaped in hours, not millennia. The atmosphere enters a prolonged state of chaos. Jet streams reform violently, wrapping the planet in endless superstorms. Weather becomes permanently unstable. Seasons lose meaning as heat and cold redistribute unpredictably. Some regions are locked in constant storms, while others fall into extreme drought. Long-term survival becomes nearly impossible. The weakened magnetic field allows higher levels of cosmic and solar radiation to reach the surface, damaging ecosystems and increasing mutation rates in surviving life forms. Many species go extinct within weeks. Food chains collapse. Oceans, already devastated by temperature shifts and pollution stirred from the seabed, lose much of their oxygen-producing life. Earth doesn't become lifeless, but it becomes hostile. Human civilization, dependent on stable climate, electricity, agriculture, and communication, collapses rapidly. Isolated pockets of survivors might persist underground or near the poles, but global society as we know it ends. Geologically, the planet bears scars for millions of years. New mountain ranges rise where crust buckled. Massive sediment layers mark the greatest flood event in Earth's history. Future intelligent life, if it ever emerges, would find a thin, unmistakable line in the rock record. That's all it took to permanently alter a living world. And the most chilling part? The laws of physics didn't break. They worked perfectly. So let's take a step back and absorb what just happened. For one single minute, Earth stopped rotating, and in doing so, revealed how much of our reality depends on motion we never notice. In those 60 seconds, inertia turned the surface of the planet into a weapon. Cities were erased by momentum. Oceans became global blades. The atmosphere transformed into a planet wide shockwave. Then gravity reshaped Earth itself. The crust cracked. Earthquakes and volcanoes rewrote the landscape. Water rushed toward the poles. Weather systems collapsed into chaos. The magnetic field weakened, exposing the surface to space itself. And when the rotation restarted, the damage didn't reset. It all got. The second surge finished what the first began, reshaping continents, collapsing ecosystems, and ending human civilization not with a bang, but with unstoppable physics. Earth survived, but balance did not. The planet became unfamiliar, unstable, and hostile to the life that once thrived on it. This is why that 1 minute would be the most dangerous minute in Earth's history. Not because of an asteroid, not because of aliens, not because of explosions, but because it stripped away the illusion of stability. We live on a spinning world, protected by motion, balance, and invisible forces working in harmony every second of every day. When that harmony breaks, even briefly, the consequences are absolute. The most terrifying realization? Nothing supernatural had to happen. This disaster was always waiting. Hidden inside the laws of physics,